Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So today I wanted to do a review of Baldur's Gate 3. Not that this one needs any more accolades, but I wanted to throw in my 2 cents. The first thing that I'm going to start with is a pretty hot take, and you may not like this hot take, but I'm going to say it anyway. Even if you have no intention of ever playing this game, even if the thought of a CRPG just insults your very being, you should still buy it anyway. Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 represents probably the first game in a very long time that has provided a masterpiece of a game with no monetization, no battle pass, no extraneous doojanks that are sold afterward to you at an additional fee. Well, if you'd like to get access to that mount, or if you want to get access to that additional character, that'll be another $19.95 or $59.99 for an expansion, etc. And when asked whether Larian Studios was going to have any kind of monetization within the game, they responded by saying that they believe that a game should be sold at full price and you get a full game. And that this is absolutely insanely amazing, in my opinion, because in this day and age, it feels like every single game comes with a battle pass. Every single game comes with some sort of monetization. Every single game comes with some sort of doojank that you have to purchase afterward, and it gets absolutely insane. This game is also ridiculously massive. And when I say massive, I mean ridiculously massive. I have been no-lifing this game. And I mean no-lifing this game. I can show you a panel here of all of my videos that I have done for Baldur's Gate since launch. And as you can clearly see here, I have 12, 5, or nearly 6, 12, 12, 10, 8, 8, and 12, and another 8, which adds up to a massive 87.5 hours played in a week. What am I on, day 7? Yeah, day 7. So 1 week, 87.5 hours. That's absolutely insane. How many hours are actually in a week? I know I'm an idiot who needs a calculator for this, but let's just multiply this real quick. So 7 days times 24 hours a day is 168 hours. So I have used 87.5 of those hours, which means that more than half of the hours for the week I have dedicated directly to playing this game, and I am still not finished. I have just entered into Worms Crossing within the game, if you guys are interested, and Worms Crossing is... I think I'm like halfway through. That's what I feel like right now. I feel like I'm about halfway through the game, which means I still have quite a long ways to go. And this is a good point. The game is absolutely massive, all right? It has so much to it, so much story, so many dialogue options, so many books and things that you can read that are absolutely hilarious. If you don't read the books, I don't really know what to tell you, because some of them are just freaking hilarious. There was one in there which was a joke on a Dr. Seuss book. It was called A is for Azimuth or something like that, and it cracked me up. And speaking of massive, the story is absolutely amazing so far. I have gone through a large amount of the story, made choices here and there, killed off some people, and even, made my way through various different planes of existence, even talked to gods, put down devils, and animals. Oh my god, you can talk to animals. Here's one right here. Her name is Grub. Grub is a cat. To talk to animals, you do need to have the Speak with Animals condition, which can be given to you via a spell. And let's talk.
I'm just a cat. But please, talk to Yenna.
I'm not going to hurt you, kitty.
I don't like talking.
Do you know what happened to Yenna's mother?
Nothing good, I don't think. She was so very sick. Maybe she made like a cat and went off to spend her last life.
May I pet you?
But please don't.
Is Yenna mistreating you?
Yenna is my best friend. She's kind. Help her, not me.
And of course, we have Yenna right here, which I'll dive into that quest later. We're going to talk to her and figure out what's going on. There's also a dog that you come across randomly throughout your adventures, and if you should so deem, you can have the dog come back with you.
Hope you're keeping well, friend.
Would you like a pet? You can also play fetch with him as well, by the way. And he brings you things occasionally. The characters in the game are also very well crafted, and I feel like I need to talk about that for a second. There are so many characters in this game, and they're all fully voiced. In fact, I think everything is fully voiced in this game, which is a very big craziness to me, because a lot of games like this that have a massive scale will cheap out in some way or another, and they won't voice every single character, especially the 2-bit characters, you know, the ones that don't really matter, or the chance encounters won't be voiced, or they'll only partially voice the characters. But it seems like every single character, no matter how big or small, has a voice in this game, and it's absolutely amazing, and I can't believe it. I kind of want to give Larian Studios an extra $70. And speaking of which, we have tons and tons of characters. Gale, the sorcerer, or wizard. Was he a wizard? I can't remember if he's a wizard or a sorcerer. We have Halsin, the druid. There's Asterion, which I'm not going to ruin any of the story for him. Jaheira, who eventually joins the group. She's also a druid. Lizelle, who is part of a special race called the Githyanki, which seem to be sort of like a, I don't know, lizard-like race. But not quite. Weil, which is not a demon, but he does have demon horns, doesn't he? Or Will. We also have some other characters, too, that seem to be coming in later. I killed off one of them. Full disclosure, I killed off Shadowheart, because Shadowheart tried to kill Lizelle, and I was not having that. There's this whole thing between the two of them, and Shadowheart is... yeah, she's kind of... Yeah, okay. I'm not going to ruin her story either. Yes, no story ruining. Anyway, the characters are extremely well crafted. And speaking of well crafted characters, we have to talk about another thing about the characters that is part of their crafting, which is romance options. A lot of people like the ability to romance a particular character, and although you can see some nudity in this game if you would choose to, there is a nudity option. It's really just kind of like a rated R scene from a movie. It's not really that big of a deal. I mean, if you've ever seen a love scene in a rated R movie, you've seen the scenes that they have in this game. Granted, if you fall in love with one of these characters and get your own little waifu or husbando, I mean, that's up to you. But every single character, just about, can be romanced in some way, shape, or form. I have not found one yet that doesn't have a romance option. And this is actually a negative in my book, because... oh, my dear Lord Jesus, I feel like every single character is trying to reach into my pants and grab my wiener, and it's not even a joke. Like, half the time you start talking to characters, like Gale, for instance, who is not my type, and there are dialogue options and things that happen, like, about the night that we spent together. I mean, I get it, you know, there should be an option in there for everybody, no matter what your sexual preference may be. If you're interested in one of the characters, then by all means. But maybe put a little checkbox in there for those of us who don't want to have our wieners grabbed by every character. It'd be nice if there was a little, like, I don't know, sexual preference at the beginning of the game, where you could choose what your character's sexual preference is, and then therefore eliminate a lot of the romantic dialogue options from some of the characters that you would not be interested in, if that makes sense. You know, for instance, I don't like the fact that Gale keeps coming on to me. Halsin keeps coming on to me, too. There's a lot of characters in this game that are just always trying to get into my pants, even if I don't want them to get into my pants. And it's, like I said, it's perfectly fine if that's what you want, but I don't particularly want all the characters constantly reaching into my pants to grab my wiener. There are an amazing number of dialogue options. So segueing into that, from the amazing number of dialogue options on the characters, is that you can literally do just about anything. I think it's really important to talk about this here because you can be evil, you can be good, you can be neutral, you can kill everyone, you can be an evil slave lord and take over the world. You can kill members of your party at any point. So if you feel the need, if you don't like a particular character in your group, or if you think that they deserve death, you can just kill them. Astarion here is one of those options. You early on in the game, you just have an option to kill him. And from what I've learned of Astarion so far, man, he is one of the evilest characters, I swear. Every single time he has an opportunity, he just loves evil. I probably should have killed him off a long time ago, but he's useful, and that's why he's still in the group. And that's kind of going to segue into the next part of my review, which is there are multiple ways to solve a problem. Multiple ways to solve a problem. You can deal with, for instance, Astarion's evil by killing him off early on. Or you can deal with Astarion's evil by trying to direct him toward the light. It may not work. You might, try in vain, but you can still do your best to try and get the character into what would be considered a good light. Lizelle is a very good option of this, and I don't really think this is too much of a spoiler, because she is a Githyanki, and the Githyanki have a queen that they follow. Turns out the queen is not exactly the nicest of persons, and you essentially have the option to try and turn her against her queen, which is honestly a very good thing, because if she continued to follow her queen, she would just be evil. And there's quite a few different things like this within the game where you can choose options depending on how you would like to approach things. Like I said, Astarion being evil, you can approach that from multiple different angles. Lizelle, worshiping a weird god, you can approach that from multiple different angles. Will is in a pact with a demon, and you can approach that from multiple different angles. And you can straight up abandon people, you can help them through their problems, you can use them for evil, you can use them for good, you can... there's just tons of different ways. This character right here, that I'm not even going to show you, is one of the characters in the game that literally wouldn't exist had I made a different choice. There is multiple different choices when it comes to her and how you deal with her specifically. So if you choose the wrong path, she might not be there. If you choose the right path, she might be there. If you choose a different path, she could, not be there for a different reason. And it's very, very refreshing to have a game that offers you so much freedom and creativity in how you approach a problem. You feel like your character's choices, your personal agency really matters in this game. Yes, there are some things that are outside of your control, and that is how the world works. Some things are just outside of your control, but who cares? I mean, what you can control, what you can do is all within your power. And the things that are outside of your control, so be it. The only things that we can affect, the only things that we can do are the things that we have control over, right? And you do your best in this game to shape the world in the way that you would like it to go. I have a lot of fun with the equipment as well, and I think this is something that I should probably touch on, is that there is a lot of equipment in the game that is set up specifically for certain builds, ways that you can make your character stronger in very specific ways, like the ability to utilize ice spells or fire spells, charging up heat so that you can do even more fire damage, have even more interesting effects, crafting ridiculous pieces of armor like the adamantine splint mail, which is something that you can only get through a special quest finding the forge in one of the earlier parts of the game. And in general, as you go along and you find some of these more amazing items, you start to realize that there's just so much fun stuff to be had. Like this particular weapon right here, the Morning Frost staff, is a staff that I literally had to put together piece by piece. As you explore the world, you start to find like these special little pieces, and they talk about how they belong in a set, and you know, you find one and then you find another one, and then finally you find the last one and you put it all together and it forms this very rare staff called the Morning Frost, and it's just so exciting to find these crazy items within the game world, and also to build characters around them. This one in particular has the ability to dish out cold damage whenever the wielder dishes out cold damage, so whenever you dish out cold damage, it does even more cold damage. And on top of that, it also has a special effect, which is when dealing cold damage with a spell, it possibly inflicts chilled upon the target. And as you go forward and you take a look at what all these things are, like for instance right here, it says chilled affected entity is vulnerable to cold damage and resistant to fire damage. So they end up taking more cold damage because they are chilled, right? So you can build an entire character literally just around this one item, which is kind of insane. I have never seen that menu before. That's kind of cool. I think that was every melee weapon I had on my character. The spells in the game are absolutely insane, and there is so many spells as well. If you are interested in being a spellcaster, I mean, there are spells that do just about everything from putting a monster to sleep, putting grease on the ground so everybody slips and slides, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which causes the monsters to laugh themselves silly until they fall on the ground. There are spells that allow you to teleport across the map, put darkness down so nobody can see anything or attack through the darkness. Freaking entire sleet storms, which are absolutely amazing. I mean, some of these spells, I wonder if I can cast some spells here just for lulz. Have the most amazing graphics. This is the sleet storm. I also have the ice storm. Now, as far as I know, you can't... I don't think you can cast them both at the same time. And then there's also other spells like Web, which allow you to entrap characters. Puts little webs all over the floor, makes the floor very sticky. Stinking Cloud, which is basically just a horrible stinking cloud of horribleness. There's even more advanced mechanics that exist within the game, and I'm actually pretty excited about them because some of them allow you to do some pretty crazy things, like the fact that there's water in the ground. The water can then be electrified. If you have things that are flammable on the ground, like for instance grease, which is a flammable spell, because grease is obviously something that can be lit on fire. If you put a fire spell on grease, it will explode because, of course, it is a flammable substance, right? So it causes interactions between all the various spells. It's actually kind of insane, in my opinion, how well everything interacts with each other. There's even items, like I said, within the game that can interact even further within those spheres. For instance, I have a pair of boots that I've been holding on to for a little while that I'm interested in making a character out of, that is basically a pair of boots that cause the water that you're standing in to be electrified. They're called the Water Sparkers. Electrify water. When the wearer stands in the water during combat, it becomes electrified. Water sparks. If the wearer starts their turn on electrified surface, they gain +3 lightning charges. And the lightning charges is a whole nother thing. Lightning charges basically involve the process by which you generate these charges, and then the charges can offer you certain benefits. Maybe they offer you benefits by giving you additional damage, or making it so that you can generate additional health, which is also very interesting. In fact, a lot of the times in this game, you could usually find out the information you want by examining the item and then holding your mouse over the lightning charge. So in this particular case, lightning courses through you, and you have +1 attack rolls and deal an additional 1 lightning damage. If you gain 5 charges, they are consumed the next time you deal damage, and you deal an additional 1 to 8 lightning damage. As you can see here, there is an amazingly large number of ways that you can just build characters and itemize things out in the way that you would want. Want to build a character entirely around fire damage? You got it. Want to build a character entirely around cold damage? You got it. Want to build a character entirely around throwing items? You want to be a throw barb basically from Diablo 2? Well, guess what? They got you. There are items in here specifically set up for throw characters. I can show you several of them right now. First off is the... where is it? Oh, that's the Winter's Clutches. Those are really interesting. Those give encrusted with frost, which is really interesting. The encrusted with frost ones are kind of cool. So this is the Gloves of the Uninhibited Kushigo. Kushigo's Might. The wearer deals an additional 1d4 damage with throw attacks and attacks made with improvised weapons. And then I also have a ring specifically for throwing, which is the Ring of Flinging. The wearer gains an additional 1d4 bonus to throw damage. So if you put the Ring of Flinging on and the Gloves of the Koshigo on, those two items specifically, you get an additional 1d4 and 1d4 damage whenever you throw an item. So you can have like a stack of daggers in your inventory and just start chucking daggers at everything, and you get additional damage every single time you throw the items. I am actually kind of curious about what it would be like if I made a character entirely around throwing items. Would be really freaking cool. On top of this, there's a very interesting note system or book system within the game, and I've actually collected a large number of these and put them in a pack because I just don't have enough room for all of them, and I don't want to throw them away either because there's so many good little tidbits of information in here. But as you can clearly see, there are books and books and books. There's diaries of Ketheric Thorm. I've got eyewitness accounts, elder brain dominations, goblin drawings, all sorts of really cool things that are just freaking amazing to go through and read. And I've read pretty much all of them so far. Anything that I find, I usually end up diving into it at least one time, just so that I can get a feel for what's going on within the game world. And the further you go into this kind of stuff, and the more you look at all these very interesting things, you start to realize that this world is just massive and amazing. I mean, I could show you pretty much anything from this, and it would make you laugh. The goblin drawing was hilarious. It's not even something to read. It just simply says, drawn in thick charcoal lines upon animal skin, this childlike portrait depicts 3 stick figures, a goblin with sparks in its hands, a square humanoid figure, and what seems to be an elf, each of them wearing a simple crown. And then we have even more weird ones in here. One of them had some lewd drawings in there, although they didn't actually show us the lewd drawings. They just told us they were lewd drawings. God, there's so many different things in here. I haven't even really explored the entirety of the game either. Like, I feel like that's something that I need to point out, is that I really haven't even gone over the entire game. There is so much more to go over in this game, so many more hours to play, and I want to play them all, and I know what I should be playing Diablo 2 or Diablo 4. My channel is based around those. But games like this only come along once in a blue moon. They only come along once in a while. They're 10 out of 10 games, like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I played recently. I'm going to play this game all the way through. Because I want to. And I think that's the biggest and most glaring thumbs up that I can give you for this game, is that I want to play it all the way through. And I don't even care if you guys watch. I'm still going to play it all the way through. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos. And I did forget to give it an actual number rating. It's a 10 out of 10. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.